The most expensive thing you will ever buy is the impression that you are rich. Walk through almost any office parking lot. You can spot them instantly. A leased German sedan in the best spot. Designer logos on the bag. A watch worth more than the car. Everything about it whispers wealthy, and the bank account behind it tells a completely different story than what you see. So how did looking rich quietly become the fastest way to stay broke in America? Stay with me. This changes everything. Because the answer behind that question changes how you see every flashy purchase around you from this point forward. How does someone earning good money end up with almost nothing to show for it? Let me introduce you to two people. They work in the same building, share the same job title, and earn nearly the same paycheck, somewhere around $70,000 a year. The first one, we will call her Farah. Looks like she is winning. New trucks every few years. A closet that rotates with the seasons. Weekend trips show up beautifully on her feed. Everything about her screams success to anyone watching from the outside. The second one, Felicia, is harder to read. Her car is a paid-off sedan with a small dent she never fixed. Her clothes are plain. She brings lunch most days. Nothing about her broadcasts wealth to a passing stranger. If you had to bet on who was wealthier, almost everyone in that office would put their money on Farah, and they would be wrong. Farah has roughly $400 in her checking account 3 days before payday, and around $19,000 in non-mortgage debt. Felicia has 11 months of expenses sitting in savings, and a growing pile of investments that quietly compound while she sleeps. Same building, same income, completely opposite outcomes. And the difference was never actually the salary between them. What separated them was that one spent years buying the appearance of wealth, and the other spent those years buying the real thing. That gap has a name, even if nobody ever says it out loud. Think of it as the appearance tax you never see. Every dollar spent looking rich is a dollar that can never compound into actually being rich, and that quietly bankrupts millions of people. This trap works because of something sociologist Thorstein Veblen called conspicuous consumption. We buy things to send a signal about who we are. A $50 watch tells time exactly as well as a $50,000 one. The extra money buys status, not accuracy. The people most desperate to send that signal are usually the ones who can least afford to be sending it at all. Genuine wealth tends to go quiet, while loud spending and constant upgrades are often the sound of someone reaching for status they haven't earned. Let's make this concrete with numbers, because abstractions never actually change behavior the way real figures do. Farah finances a $770 monthly car payment, the record national average for a new vehicle in early 2026. Felicia drives a paid-off used car worth about $350 a month once the loan is gone. That $420 gap, invested every month at 7%, becomes over $200,000 after 20 years. Give it 30 years, and that single decision, an ordinary car instead of an impressive one, becomes more than $500,000. That's the real price of the nicer car. Not the sticker on the window, but the freedom it quietly erases decades later. Researchers Thomas Stanley and William Danko studied real millionaires for their book and found the opposite of what advertising teaches us. Most millionaires live in modest homes, drive unremarkable cars, and spend far less than they could easily afford to spend. Meanwhile, a huge share of people who look wealthy are running on borrowed money and razor-thin margins behind the scenes. Social media has supercharged this problem. Studies show over 40% of Gen Z and millennials experience something called money dysmorphia. That's a distorted view of your own finances driven by constant comparison to everyone else's curated highlight reel online. 95% of people with money dysmorphia say it actively hurts their finances, pushing overspending, debt, and abandoned savings goals. There's even a behavior called doom spending, where feeling behind makes people spend more to soothe the very anxiety that spending created. Financial stress is quietly gnawing at more than 200 million Americans, many of whom look completely stable on paper to outsiders, even households earning over $150,000 a year report living paycheck to paycheck. Because the appearance tax scales with income, there's an engine behind it too. Researchers call it the better than instinct. A better car, a better watch, a better vacation than someone else. A Wells Fargo study found that among affluent millennials earning $250,000 a year, over half felt pressure to appear successful. More than 40% of them relied on credit cards or loans just to fund that appearance of success to others. The car is the biggest culprit in all of this. Average new car loans hit almost $44,000 in early 2026. Loans now stretch nearly 6 years, and almost 1 in 5 new car payments sits above $1,000 a month. Almost 3/4 of those $1,000 payments aren't for luxury cars at all. They're for ordinary trucks financed to the edge of a budget. New cars lose up to 60% of their value within a few years, according to Kelley Blue Book, and delinquencies keep rising. Leasing is even worse. Meet Dana, who leased a luxury sedan continuously for the better part of 20 years straight. Every lease payment covered the car's steepest depreciation years. Then she handed it back and owned absolutely nothing at the end. At about $619 a month, 20 years of leasing costs, nearly $150,000 with zero ownership. Invested instead, that same money would have grown past $300,000. A third of $1 million lost to a badge on a hood. Compare that to how actual millionaires behave. Dave Ramsey's research shows the most common millionaire car brands are Toyota, Honda, and Ford. Jeff Bezos reportedly drove a Honda Accord 4 years after he was already wealthy enough to buy the company that built it. Warren Buffett, one of the richest people alive, still lives in the same modest house he bought back in 1958. The genuinely rich tend to buy flashy items after the wealth is already built, almost as an afterthought rather than a strategy. Every status purchase also drags hidden costs behind it. Researchers call this the lifestyle multiplier, and it rarely costs what the price tag claims. A bigger home needs more furniture and higher utilities. A truck needs premium insurance. A watch needs a lifestyle to match it. This is why a bigger paycheck rarely fixes anything. Each raise quietly becomes the down payment on a slightly more expensive performance. People earning $300,000 a year often feel just as squeezed as people earning $80,000 because expectations expand with income. Housing is where this gets most expensive and most invisible. A great address is the purest status purchase there is. Renting the impressive apartment can swallow 30 or 40% of a paycheck while building absolutely zero equity in return. Small leaks matter too. Buy now, pay later apps have turned everyday spending into invisible debt for millions of ordinary shoppers. Nearly half of buy now, pay later users report paying late in the past year, and a quarter juggle 3 or more loans at once. Some now even finance food delivery. One young woman admitted her daily habit quietly cost her about $9,000 a year, invested instead at 7% over 30 years. That same money would have grown to nearly $900,000 in retirement. The upgrade habit hides here too. Replacing a phone that still works can cost $50 extra a month. Chasing the newest model, invested over 30 years. That single small upgrade reflex would have quietly become roughly $60,000 of lost future wealth. Credit cards run on the same psychology with a far higher cost, averaging around 21.5% interest today. The average balance among people carrying debt sits near $8,000, costing roughly $1,700 a year in pure interest. There's a tell that gives the whole performance away, and once you see it, you can never unsee it again. The person performing wealth almost always talks about money they're about to make, never about money they actually already have. Consider someone like Keaton. A good income for 15 years. The newest phone, the leased car. The impressive address, the full wardrobe. By 40, she had everything that looked like success and almost none of the thing itself. No emergency fund, just a tangle of payments. She hadn't made one catastrophic mistake. She'd made 1,000 small reasonable ones that quietly added up to a decade of performance. Someone performing wealth often pours 22–30% of income into looking the part, while the actually wealthy spend just 2 to 5%. Once you understand the appearance tax, the people who looked rich start to look broke, and the ordinary-looking ones start to look free. A 2025 Empower study found most everyday millionaires still budget Hunt for deals and avoid extravagant lifestyles even in 7 figures. Felicia understood something Farah never did. She defined what enough looked like before her income ever arrived, then earned toward that target. Consider Sandra too, who set a real number that meant freedom to her and pointed every spare dollar at it for years. The day she crossed that number, the performance everyone else was still running suddenly looked exhausting from the outside looking in. Run the math on 2 people earning $70,000. One spends 28% of income on appearance. The other keeps it near 4%. The gap comes out to roughly $1,400 a month. Invested at 7% over 30 years, that becomes over $1.7 million. Same income, same town, same starting line. One finishes with depreciating things. The other finishes with total freedom for the rest of her life. Your trajectory matters more than your current position. Someone with modest savings but a high saving rate can overtake a bigger balance within a decade. So how do you actually step off this treadmill? Especially if you just recognized your own habits somewhere in this story. Ask one honest question before every purchase. Are you buying this for yourself? Or are you buying it to be seen by others? That single question kills an enormous amount of wasteful spending. Because most of the appearance tax exists for an audience that isn't even watching. Mute the accounts that consistently make you feel behind. Because no budget survives a feed engineered to make you feel poor. Make saving automatic and spending difficult instead of the other way around. Send money out the moment your paycheck lands. Move your cash out of big traditional banks paying near 0% and into a high-yield account paying around 4% instead. Once your emergency fund is solid, look toward safe government-backed options, yielding around 4.5% as your real starting point. That corner of investing built for safety and predictability is the calmest place to begin. Before ever touching stock market volatility, now think back to that parking lot from the very beginning. The leased sedan, the logos. The watch worth more than the car. That's the appearance tax being paid in real time, decade after decade, by someone trading an unseen future for a status nobody remembers. Across the lot sits the plain paid-off sedan with the little dent, owned by the person quietly, boringly, becoming genuinely free. The brutal truth about looking rich is that it works exactly as advertised. It makes you look rich. It just makes sure you never become it.